Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
Hello, everybody. Spider here once again. Coming Soon podcast, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, being joined by Allen, my man. Of course, how are you doing today, brother?
Hey, what's up?
Man, not much, bro. I mean, other than the sky, been busy. I mean, we just talked a little bit earlier, left work on time, which is for myself, usually around 1:30. But it's Friday. We made it. The week's over. So, now it's time to get to work, right?
It is. I've got a long 4-day weekend, and I'm like, I've got a 4-day weekend to take care of everything. Then I realized how much everything I had to take care of, and I'm like, only 4 days, and then I'm back to the job and away from this.
No, I always joke around and tell people I can't wait to get back to work so I can rest, because
I hear you.
The days I'm off, I'm 110%, man, which is great. I love staying busy. I love, doing what I do. It's just, it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. And that's it. I love being busy, and I can never be busy enough. But I think once we started the magazine, I think I finally found my spot where I'm too busy.
Yeah, and busy is good. I mean, I've got idle hands. I always tell people if I don't have anything to do, like I'll just eat, and man, I gotta be out and about. And we got conventions. I'm moderating a May the 4th Star Wars event Sunday. For a buddy of mine, so looking forward to that. But I get to jump on the film tomorrow. I'm actually going to be behind the scenes myself on this one. But
awesome.
I'm always grateful and appreciate everybody. So of course, if they need help, I'm game. As long as I have a clear schedule, man, I'll do it.
That's awesome. I love conventions. I used to be a couple of conventions every year because I usually have to travel. There's not any very close to me, and I dropped out, I guess, about 5 years ago and just quit going. And a part of it was I just didn't like the crowds. And that was more of a personal thing that just kind of developed. It's like I just don't like being in crowds anymore. So I am going back this year for the first convention in a while. So we'll see how I handle the crowds. Man,
you see, and that's what I tell people. I mean, I prefer to, I love being home. I have everything I need here. Of course, being social media and doing everything I do, of course, ironic, but I do have to go out there and rub elbows and talk to people and hang out with people, which I enjoy, but yeah, it's like if I told people, if I hit the lottery, man, I'm buying a couple of acres. I'm going to have everything I need there. I'll probably build the McDonald's in there. I don't know, man. I won't have to leave, but,
I tell people, I've been telling people lately, when I retire, if I have enough money, I'm just moving to Greece. I'm going to buy a small place on the beach, and no one's going to know where I'm at. I'm just going to hang out and live on the beach, eat olives and cheese, and drink wine.
Bro, sounds like a plan, brother. There's a boat next to you, man. I'll move in. We'll be neighbors, bro.
It sounds great.
Alone, but But yeah, man. But of course, man. Tell us. I'm gonna drop this image because this is the magazine that you speak of course, Tome of Terror. So the name itself, man, where does that come from?
Tome of Terror. I just wanted to throw back to the kind of old haunted mystery, Tales from the Crypt, and I wanted something that was kind of alliterative and kind of a throwback to the old comics. Captain Creepy is a long kind of story. It starts off as the best stories always start off as a joke. And back in the old days of the Horror Find convention in Baltimore, that was the first convention I'd ever went to. And we had a very active forum. And I worked at a hospital, and I worked on night shift in the office where I had like 3 or 4 computers.
Yeah. And
we had a huge chat section, and I was in the chat, just shooting the shit with my friends about horror movies and what we didn't like, what we liked. And I had the idea, I'm like, I could like scoot over to this other computer and create a different profile and log in, and no one would know it was me. Yeah. And I did that, and I created Captain Funk E. Love.
Oh, nice.
And he was coming to the horror convention only to hook up with women. And he was using this fake, like, sailor logos, like Captain Funky Love is going to be dropping anchor and picking up all the girls for his boat. And it took about 20 minutes for the admins to figure out it had to be me, because there's no way there could be someone that weird in the same location as me and not be me. And that turned into, I did a podcast several years ago, which anyone listening can tell I don't have the voice to be a podcaster, but I thought I did. And
sound great, man.
We did a podcast we called Dead Sexy Radio. And one of my friends turned the Captain Funky Love into a zombie undead. And when we first started thinking about the magazine, I'm like, Captain Creepy. And he could be like this undead ship's captain. And he's our mascot. And that was one of the first things about the magazine I decided. I'm like, I want Captain Creepy to be our mascot.
Nice.
And that turned into Captain Creepy's Tome of Terror. And it's going well, because we actually got our first issue out. And I did not realize how big of a challenge it can be to simply get an issue out until I did it. And everybody's like, dude, I can't believe you did it. That's so successful. And I'm like, have you seen my sales? I'm being successful. Have you seen? But we got enough positive feedback and enough went right that we are going to continue. The second issue, we're working on it right now. I've got the fiction planned. I've got it laid out. I've just got to drop it all in. Heather says she is heading home now. So hopefully the beautiful Heather will make it home in time. If not, I will talk shit about her right before we log out.
I was going to say, I don't know about having three handsome individuals in one show, but, you know.
I know, it's horrible.
Why not, you know.
And I'm going to say this right now before she gets here to correct me. But I was already talking about my cat problems, and I'm just going to say, I have a pussy. Heather has a wiener.
There you go. There you go. I think in today's ages, you know, I think that's the way it goes. Supposed to go anyway, man. I don't know.
Yeah, she's got a wiener dog, and she introduced him on the last show, and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't say Heather has a wiener, I have a pussy, because I have my cat. I'm like, yeah, this is my cat.
Yeah. That's a good one, man. That's priceless. You see, that's a podcast right there, man.
It is.
Dude, you know, it's like people are gonna be like, okay, what the heck are these guys talking about? I gotta listen to this.
But to the magazine, we are, and I always wanted the main focus of it to be horror fiction, an original horror fiction, because I miss that you can't just go pull a magazine off the shelves and read a new horror story from an actual great author. And then I had the idea to put a pretty girl on the cover because I like pretty girls and I like seeing them on the cover. Oh, yeah. And that developed into Captain Creepy. And Heather is going to be our Halloween cover girl.
Nice.
And nice. I keep saying I'm going to stop complimenting her because it seems like I'm, just kind of talking out my head. But she is one of the most beautiful young ladies I've ever met. And she is really into horror, loves horror movies.
No, I mean, you kind of have to, who doesn't? I mean, because, I know yesterday I was talking to somebody about Halloween and everybody's like, oh man, that's when everybody comes out. And I said, man, everybody should be coming out every day. I mean, exactly. I watch all year round. I mean, I watch this stuff like crazy. I watch it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so it's just.
That's me. Yeah. If I don't have a movie on, it's because I can't. And if I'm doing something where I simply can't, otherwise I've got a movie on. I've got, which you can kind of see it. This is like a horrible angle, but I've got probably 1,000 DVDs, Blu-rays behind me, which they're not all horror movies, but the huge selection of them are horror movies. And that's the thing, man.
I got some behind me in this shelf. I got some on that shelf. I got VHS. I've got. The other day, I picked up a whole bunch of 8-tracks, man. People were like, man, why are you picking up 8-tracks? And I said, you know what? Because one of my trucks still has an 8-track player, and it does work. So why not?
Why not? Why not? I started buying vinyl albums again about 2 years ago, and I didn't go out and get the new stuff off the shelf at Walmart. I was going to thrift stores and picking up the old stuff, and I realized I really love that pop. Crackle.
Yeah, bro. Those little crispy, popping things, dude. That stuff puts me to sleep. Like I want to listen to that. So
that's the way I started. I lived in the middle of nowhere in North Mississippi, and you listen to the radio, and you got the pop, the crack, the and it's just ingrained into me that if I'm listening to an old album by whether it's Ozzy Osbourne, whether it's Fleetwood Mac, I like hearing that noise on it.
Oh yeah. That's like that's part of listening to vinyl. You know, when people are like, "Oh, I hate that,"
Yes.
I'm like, "Dude, that's like part of the song." I don't know, but you know, it's just something that I mean, of course, us that grew up with vinyl, I mean, we're used to it, man. I mean, I miss that definitely. But yes, bro. But of course, like you mentioned, I mean, the magazine. I mean, you guys got this. You know, you guys finally got the first issue out. I mean, before this, what were you doing as far as networking?
Uh, well, I have been over the years, I'll say years because my years are starting to run together more and more. But I started out years ago going to horror conventions being the shyest human being in the world. This would have been impossible for me. And I remember when I was in college, I got invited to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have to go to people who I barely know, even though I saw them every day at school. I'm like, I have to go to their house and hang out and be social. I can't do that. And I still have problems with social anxiety. I have massive problems with social anxiety. But going to horror conventions helped that. And we branched out and I started, at some point, I started writing. Then I started doing a little photography and I was never really good at either. I was okay at the best. And then I started trying to do podcasts. And I I have a tendency to blame other people sometimes, but a lot of it was just I don't have the voice to do this as a full-time interviewing 3 or 4 people. I have the bad habit of trying to talk over other people at times, and my voice is just so, to me, it sounds whiny, frog voice. Um, so I quit that, and for the last few years, I've honestly been looking for a direction, and I keep telling people that I have to find a direction. I have to find something that I can do to give me a reason to continue going on.
Yeah.
And working in a hospital during COVID, you spend so much time staying away from everyone, and I become a huge recluse. And I remember I went to a bar the last night before we shut down before COVID, and I was at a bar, and you could smell the cigarette smoke. And I'm thinking, if I can smell their cigarette smoke, then I'm smelling the exhale of their lungs, and I'm going to get COVID. And I stopped going out.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to friends. It's like, I don't think I'm going to live through this. I'm like, I'm dealing with it every night. I have COVID patients. I'm watching people die. I made it through never having COVID. I was sure I had COVID once, got tested negative. So other people are like, oh, you probably had COVID and you didn't realize it. To me, I'm saying, no, I never got it. But it made me be a recluse, and stepping into the magazine, I had to get out of that shell. And I think I did fairly well learning all over to talk to people, just like, hey, we're doing this magazine.
Yeah.
And I know you're thinking this is Allen who's did this, did that, did this. You've got no reason to trust me, but we're going to do this. And shockingly, a few people trusted me for their own horrible fate. And it was like Heather. I've known Heather probably 5 to 6 years, and it was only the occasional, like, hey, on Instagram, like, hey, like your video, like your car, whatever. Yeah. Total friends and total barely friends, acquaintances.
Right.
And she posted some pictures of her in vampire fangs, and I'm like, well, holy hell, that's amazing cosplay. Yeah. And that actually made me basically, hey, I love your fangs. And then we started talking, and about November of last year, when I was hatching, November, September, whenever we started hatching this plan of a magazine, she was the first person who I messaged. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to do this magazine, and I would love for you to be a cover model. And if you say no, don't worry, we're still friends. I'm just going to go into a corner and cry for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
And she didn't reply. And November, December, January, I'm like, well, I guess that's a no. And she's simply too nice to tell me no. And in February, I got a message from her. Oh, my God, I just saw this.
What?
well, I can't put you on the first cover, but we're putting you on as quickly as we can. And then after talking to her, planning out the shoot, she's like, I really want to be more involved in the magazine.
Nice.
And I said, hey, that's 100% okay with me. And basically running the magazine is me, and I have one advisor and Heather. And those are the people I go to when I need advice about, should we do this? Should we do that?
Oh, yeah.
Would you be willing to do this? And she's loved coming on podcast. And I know she's trying to get in here if she doesn't go home and pet her wiener.
Man, I'm telling you too, man, because I mean it's hard, because even with mine, like when I started this, it was myself and my friend Braxton Smith, who's a pro fighter, and he training, fighting. I mean, of course, so it was more me running it after a while, because I mean he just got busy and overwhelmed with everything that he had been doing. But now, I mean, we actually have this thing where, I run this. I do a lot of interviews through the Coming Soon podcast. We usually go live on Instagram through. It's the same YouTube channel. It's kind of odd, but it's his project, Jump Scare Podcast, and we just 5 topics each. We bring somebody in, we just chop it up and talk about movies, actors, remakes. I mean, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, it's hard to find somebody that you can definitely open the door and be like, hey, man, yeah, come in, because it's like, everybody wants to be a part of something, but then a lot of people don't commit, man, or they don't.
Exactly.
I don't have this, I don't have that, and I'm like, I get it. I mean, I had a studio when I was doing the Combat Sports podcast, and it was hard to bring people in after a while. That I just started streaming, and I was like, dude, I left the studio, and I was like, you know what? My youngest moved out of the house, cleared out the room and made it into my studio, man. But makes sense, I can do this from home. I send people the link, they jump on when they can, and that's it. Get it going.
Yeah, this is technically my photography studio, except it's way too small, so I don't use it a whole lot. And of course, I've got my computer at a weird angle. Usually, this screen behind me I use as kind of a backup, and then I'll put another screen or something up and shoot. The last time I used it, I was actually shooting from outside the room because the room is too small. Yeah, so I'm actually buying my house. It's a rental right now, so there's only so much I can do to it. And I'm in the process of buying it, which I will say nothing adds stress to releasing the first issue of a magazine than being told, hey, do you want to buy your house? And we need the answer by the end of May. So we released on April the 20th, and it was probably the most stressful time that I remember in my adult life.
Yeah.
Because it was like, so, hey, when are the magazines coming in? I'm like, I don't have time to buy 200 magazines right now because I have to come up with a down payment for my house.
Yeah.
And then I had a printing quote, and it was just like, once I get paid, I'm going to buy these. And I went in to finalize the purchase, and I found one of the things about how you always check the details and make sure the details are right, because the printing quote they gave me did not include shipping, did not include taxes.
Oh, damn.
So I had a nice order for several $100s, and then that went up another several $100s, because shipping 100 pounds of magazines is not cheap.
Oh, no, not at all.
And we planned on, which we're still going to do it. And I've got to get the table. We're going to Scares That Care AuthorCon in February. And my original plan was I was going to have 300 copies because Heather is around that area. She's in the Virginia area. I was going to have 150 copies. No, I was going to have 300 copies of her magazine shipped to me. And then I was going to take those to the convention. And I'm like, that's 150 pounds of magazines that I'm going to have to pay for shipping to me, and then have to pay for shipping back to Virginia. Yeah. So we're still going to do it. I just haven't worked out the logistics. I think I know what we're going to do, but I just have to follow through. But I guess if I have any advice to anyone starting a new business, oh my God, check the details and check the small details. I sit there and Easter weekend being our release day, and then finding out that the printers were actually closed, and I was having a problem even finalizing. So people ask me the date of the second issue, and I'm like, right now it's tentatively July, but I want to make sure I have my order in time for me to have my magazines at home.
Yeah.
And have everything straightened out and due. And until I know we're at 100%, I'm not going to say, okay, we're releasing in 2 weeks. It's just going to be July. And hopefully, the more we do this, the better we will get. It's funny because I have not yet seen a physical copy of the first issue.
Really?
And, yes. And one of the authors, I could order one, which my physical copies are supposed to be in this week.
Yeah.
May the 9th. Next week. But one of the authors who contributed, and I've told all the authors, we're going to pay you for your short story, and we're going to give you 2-3 complimentary copies of the magazine. And one of the authors texts me, he's like, hey, I just bought a copy of the magazine. It looks great. I'm like, I was giving you free copies. And she's like, I couldn't wait. And she posted it on Instagram, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the first time I'm seeing my magazine, and it actually doesn't look horrible. Nice. I'm like, I haven't seen it. It may come out and look like dog poop. For a first issue, it looks pretty good.
Nice,
and
congratulations, man.
There are lots of, if you find the Ms. Misery video and you see it, you're like, wow, there's lots of blank spaces where it says your ad could be here. That's what we're looking to fill up now, is to get some ad space and that some ad sales that will help take the financial burden off, until not necessarily get rid of it, but at least lessen the financial burden until hopefully
once people start pre-ordering, or is that going to be an option as well?
That is going to be an option. We're looking at that for issue 2, which again, when I put out kind of a tell me if you want to issue. I'm going to have physical copies for conventions, and I'll sell them to you cheaper than you can buy them online.
Right.
And then you have 13 people want to issue, and then you go back to the printer. It's like, well, if you only buy 20 copies, the price isn't $5 a copy. It's $8 a copy or $10. Which luckily I was going to get extra stock for convention. So I ordered, I believe, 100 issues of the first copy, and I sold almost enough of those before the release date to make up for the purchase price, which again, that helps.
Yeah.
You still got the overhead of setting it up, paying the people to put the magazine together, paying the cover designer, because I didn't want to go half-assed at it. I wanted to throw everything at it. And I've joked about, if the magazine doesn't work, I'm eating ramen for a year or 2. But hopefully you will at least keep me on vegetable soup.
Oh man, I was gonna say, if not, you're gonna have paper for that fireplace. No,
I tell you, I can keep a fire going all winter. And living on the Gulf Coast, we don't actually have winter, so I have fans.
There you go, man. No, but yeah, dude. The first issue, man. I had a zine going in the mid '90s. Me and my girl at the time, of course, we ran it, and it was covering punk rock music, ska, hardcore, like stuff that we were listening to. I still listen to it, but back then, and it was fun. I jumped into it, man. I said, man, let me. We had a computer. I was like, man, let me try this. It's when computers were. They had already been around, but as far as being at home, it was one of those first time type things, and learned a lot. But I enjoyed interviewing bands. I told people I've been networking since the early '90s. Writing letters to pen pals and musicians all over the world, waiting 2-3 months for them to send the questions answered back and all that good stuff. But it was fun.
I did not know zines were such a big thing until I was talking to a friend. I was talking to a friend about the magazine, and she was the one who said, this is a good way for you to basically express yourself. You can get your photography out there. You can get your writing out there. You can bring in other writers. And she was like, we need a really good new horror zine. And I did not know zines were so much a thing till I started looking up and researching. And I'm like, holy hell.
They're everywhere, man.
Yeah. And I said, the greedy me thing, hey, if I can tap into that, But you know, I just want to tap in to just get my money back. If I get my money back, I'll be
Yeah,
happier than
that's a
hell.
win. I mean, honestly, that's a win right there, man. I mean, I'd be
That
happy.
is, and
We had revamped it, and this was our issue in October, and this is the cover for
oh
the
my
book.
God, I love the Leatherface, man.
And it's actually a local artist here, man, that allowed us to use it. But I mean, it was good. It was
That's
good. You know, we
great.
haven't got back into it, man. It was easier said than done. I mean, you know, my friend out there in Houston, she took care of all the digital and everything that came with. But it was just, I mean, it was a lot, bro. And then during the holidays, time was an essence. So it's like I was jumping on films, doing my thing, going to work. It got hectic, so we kind of like put it on the standstill right now. But now I'm just interviewing bands on this. You know, I figure why not just use the
Yeah,
podcast.
I like I said, my first idea of doing this was basically me doing everything,
Yeah,
doing the photography, doing the writing, and then maybe getting some friends who have never written before to come in and write some stuff because
nice.
it's cheaper. And I don't want to be that guy. It's cheaper to get someone who's never been published before and wants to get published.
Yeah,
But when I started, I'm like, do I really want to do that? Because I know my writing. I think my writing is okay. It's not great. And same thing with my photography. So after like the first issue, it pretty much I photographed the girl who's on the cover of the second issue, and I'm going to photograph Heather.
yeah,
And the other models I've talked to, I'm like, you know, you can self shoot, you can get your boyfriend to shoot you, and I'll buy your pictures.
yeah.
That saves me the money of traveling. And someone's like, but didn't you get into this because you like photographing pretty half naked women? I'm like, yes, I did. But now that I'm running this, I don't have the time and I don't have the patience. And the patience is the thing I'm still working on. I've gotten a lot better at talking to people. I've sent a shit ton of emails to people I would never have the balls to email.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to get in touch with Diana Prince. Now, I met Diana once in person, and back when the last drive-in was just somewhat blowing up, like the first or second
yeah.
season, we chatted online about Falk, Arkansas, and the Legend of Boggy Creek. And I have not been able to get back in touch with her since that show has blown up so much. It
Yeah.
then becomes harder to
No,
do
yeah,
those
because I
media
mean, a lot of these people, I mean, people assume like, oh, you know, they just don't want to message back, but they get hundreds and hundreds of messages. It's like,
exactly.
dude, how can they, you know, at that point they don't even try. They're like, you know, I mean, if you know them
Exactly.
personally, you call them or text them, but yeah, other than that, it's pretty tough, man.
Exactly. It's hard, and I'm still determined. I want to get Diana on. I want to get Darcy on the cover at some point. And I like, you know, if you see her at a convention, tell her I want her. We will pay her to be on the cover if
Yeah,
she can fit in our budget. I'm also learning you don't break your budget and kill yourself just to get someone you really want.
no, yeah, that's a learning key also, man, because I did the whole combat sports thing. You know, I used to have a t-shirt company. I used to sponsor fighters. I used to do all this, and it's like, man, you're paying before you even make anything, and you lose double. You
Yes,
know,
you do.
I learned
Yes, you do.
after a few tries. I learned, and I said, okay, yeah, I can't do that. Like, I gotta make some sales. I gotta make sure these shirts get out. And I went from making my designs to actually making this like walkout shirts for these fighters. So I would like, hey, you know what? What's your nickname? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a custom shirt. It's gonna be your logo, your shirt. You sell it, you get a percentage, and everything else just goes. You know, I was breaking even at that point. You know, but I mean, I was happy because I'm like, okay, well, shit, it's not coming out of pocket. You know, because I was
Yeah.
spending hundreds, man, on per person, and it wasn't, you know, wasn't smart.
No, it's so easy, and it's like there's been other people I've contacted, and I'll keep using Darcy as like
Yeah,
the stand-in, but it's like if I meet her, I'm going to offer her the same amount I offer most girls for a pictorial to do the cover.
yeah,
And if she says no, I'm like, well, let's add on this, that, but then we don't go past this. We can't. And it's not that I can't afford it because I do have a decent job, but it's like, you know, if I pay her $5,000 for a cover on
yeah.
a book that I might sell 1,000 copies
Yeah.
of,
Oh yeah.
once again, you're just kind of barely breaking even. If we already had a following, we already were moving that many copies, I could see paying her that much because we're going to up our sales some, like a one-time thing. I think that would be great to get attention, but I can only spend so much and make my house payment
Oh
because
yeah,
right
yeah.
now,
You don't want to be homeless. You know,
yeah,
you want to be able
yeah,
to have a
and
home to go back to.
no, I love air conditioning, and so does my cat.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to keep my house.
No, but you know what, too, man. I mean, with set amount, I mean, yeah, it would be like you mentioned earlier. Like you don't want to use people that are. I mean, I guess you said for the writing aspect, but there's so many locals that have a huge following, man. I mean, you can literally get
Yeah,
somebody that's got like hundreds and thousands of followers, and they'd be like, "Yeah, man, I'm interested," and it's like, boom,
that's
you get the cover, you get the followers, and then you get the sales. You know?
yeah, that's what and like I said, the original plan and the person who pitched it with me is like, don't pay your writers, just get people to write because they want to be published. And I contacted one or two people who had been previously published, and they're like, well, and I know one gentleman who has been in our book. I don't want to throw out name. I hate throwing out people's names when they don't know, but he was like, do you pay for submissions? And I said, well, we can if the story comes to us, edit it, blah blah, and it's a really good story. We'll consider paying you for it. And he's like, well, I really want to be published. I don't care if you pay me or not. So, the first time my little money brain was like, ooh, that's good. But I'm like, oh, then I become the arbitrator of what's good, what's not good.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you, we're going to pay, this is our fee. And that's why I told them, this is our fee. And I didn't take back the fully edited because I do want scripts to be sent in, or stories to be sent in that are
Ready to
readable.
go.
And
Yeah.
in good shape, so I don't have to pay an editor or I don't have to chomp through it myself and try to edit it. But I'm like, this is our fee and this is all we can afford.
Yeah.
And I have not had anyone turn me down straight up because that's not enough money.
Yeah.
I had someone the other day say, well, let me send it around to the other magazines and see if I can get a better price. And I'm like, well, that kind of burns a little bit.
Yeah, that's not, and this is my thing is this because when it comes to like even the podcast, I mean, I've had people like, oh yeah, I'll definitely jump on there. Like, what do you pay? And I'm like, pay what? Like my light bill? Like, I was like, what are you asking? And they're like, oh well, for me to jump on there. And I said, man, I don't charge and I don't pay. I said, if you want to jump on, great. If you don't, I said, no problem, man. No,
I
no
love
feeling
that.
hurt,
Being a guest, I love not being charged.
No, yeah, because it's like, I mean, my platform's growing, man. I mean, we're out, we're all growing, I mean, I get it if it's like Joe Rogan and it's like, okay, yeah, they need sponsor money. They need to make their, for what they're doing. And that's great. But it's just like, for me, I'm like, man, that's why I support indie projects. I support people that are looking to keep getting the exposure to make sure they get eyes on their work, because at the end of the day, they want followers. They want people to be able to say, okay, you know what, I've seen that guy, the writer, movie maker, whatnot. And, I mean, everybody keeps growing, man.
I think Heather is trying to log in right now. She's like, I just pulled in my driveway. So hopefully her homely face will be on here soon.
And once she jumps on, we'll go ahead and say, that's it. All right, guys, thank you for, I'm kidding.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
No, definitely looking forward to having to join us, man. But yeah, bro, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, like you said, I mean, if the payout is feasible, and people want to, hey, I can contribute, I mean, if you guys can afford to pay out, or you know what I mean, if it's business savvy for you guys to pay out, then great, but I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that would love to just be able to get something on a magazine,
Yeah,
I mean, hey, you know what,
I'm paying tiny amounts, and I'll be the first to say that to the people who write for me, and it's not much. It's like $30, which I told them $10, and they were like, yeah, we'll go for it. And the first magazine, I'm like, okay, I'm okay enough that I can pay them a little more. They've all did exactly what I asked them. They've all contributed. They've shared. So I can afford it right now. And one of them came back, like, so how much are we getting paid? And I told him, he's like, okay, that's cool. And I'm like, I know that's not much.
Yeah.
But when this if this magazine becomes successful, you're going to get paid more. But if I start paying everybody $100,
but I was going to say that too, man, because for me, it just makes sense. Like, for example, if I have this podcast, right, and you're you're part of it. I have 3 people in here. I'm like, hey guys, like as soon as we're done, we got to share it. We got to get followers. We got to get, because the more we grow, the more sponsors we're gonna get. The more people, the more. Okay, you know what? Now we
Exactly.
got money coming in. Guess what? Now we're gonna get, everybody's getting a percentage, and you know, at the end, it's like, man, it'll be fun because I want to do this because I'm enjoying it. You know, first and foremost.
Exactly.
So yeah, if somebody's like, hey man, I'll pay you a set amount for you to do 1 show a day for a year. I'm like, dude, yeah, like, I mean, why not? You know, it's like I'm already doing something I love and I enjoy, and get paid for it. Then it's a give, you know, it's a given. But yeah, man, it's like, as long as everybody does their work too, you know, because it's like there's, and it happens a lot, not just with you know, indie films, with books, with rights, with shows. It's just like a lot of people, okay, yeah, I'm on here, I got paid, okay, and they just go on to the next one, and nothing. They don't share, they don't contribute, you know what I mean? And it's just, I see it, and I'm like, dude.
I've seen that, and
Yeah.
I've been there, and even in my younger days, I've been that guy who basically you hit the time clock and you sit and you wait to hit the time clock and go home.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something creative, you cannot do that. Yeah. And the first semi-creative job I got was writing for a newspaper, and I basically did. I mean, I told my coworkers I was on a podcast tonight, so of course they start texting me about somebody's baby shower.
Like, hey, are you on? Are you on now? You're like, yeah.
And you get work texts, and it's like, oh my god, it's a work text on Friday night. That's not good. It's like, hey, we're having a baby shower.
Yeah, I told my boss. I said, man, once I leave, I said, don't text me. Send it via email. I'll read it in the morning.
Oh yeah, but my first job for a newspaper, and the first couple of weeks I did my job, and then I decided I didn't like it. Yeah. And instead of being a man and going out there, it's like, I really don't like doing this. Can I do something else? Or just like, I don't like doing this, I want to quit. I basically phoned it in. I found another newspaper that did the same job I was doing, and I basically copied their stuff and turned it in. And I'll say I was like 17 years old. This was baby Dixie, and I still, my side name is always Dixie, because being born in the South and going to your first convention in the North, you're Dixie. Yeah. Shut up and be Dixie.
Man, but let me say this though, man. When I had started that zine in the mid-90s, I had sent a copy to a record label in New Mexico. The guy calls me back like in the week, and hey, you know, I'm so and so, and I'm like, oh crap, like, okay, you know, what's going on? And he's like, man, I just saw your zine. You're in San Antonio, man. He's like, how's the music scene? And I said, dude, it's pretty good, man. We got shows like every weekend, you know, like here, Austin, Houston. And he says, hey, if I send you some vinyl, can you sell it and send me a cashier check, money order? I'm sorry. And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. So he sends me like a big box, bro, like $500 worth of vinyl, shirts, buttons. I turn around, I sell as much as I could to my friends out of trunk. You know, I start selling stuff out of my trunk at shows. I send him a money order. He contacts me again, like, man, can I send you some more stuff? I'm like, dude, like, and he's like, you know what? How much do you want on your ad space on your zine? And I said, man, if you just send me vinyl, dude, like, we're good, you know? So that's kind of what we did. But because of him, I picked up a record label in New York. I picked up a record label in Spain, in Germany, and in the UK. So I had 5 record labels sending me vinyl.
That is so awesome.
And dude, like, but the crazy thing about it is that I was at a show one time, and I see the buddy of mine from Austin, and he's standing there. He has this zine in his hand, and I'm like, bro, where'd you get that? And he says, oh man, I ordered it. And I'm like, bro, that's mine. And he says, what do you mean it's yours? I bought it, bro. And I said, no. I said, that's my zine, dude. And he was like, I bought it. And I said, no. I said, bro, I made that. That's my zine. And he's like, dude, I got it from Bronco Bullfrog in Germany, bro. And I said, look at the back and look at the P.O. box. And he looks and he's like, holy crap, like, dude, that's you. Like, and so that was like the biggest compliment I ever had, because I was like, man, like, people are buying it, you know? So, you know,
that is the modern equivalent, or the past, I guess, more of a past equivalent of going viral, man. You know, you spread all over the world without even realizing it.
Yeah, dude. But I was sending them to the record labels, and I'm like, hey, can I send you 50 copies? And they're like, yeah, you know, we'll sell them. And you know, that's how I started, like, really, really building my music collection, my vinyl collection, which I still have. I was just like getting copies, keeping copies, selling the rest. They were happy, got their money. I had my copies. I'd make some spare change, and I mean, it was great, man. But overwhelming. But I was young and dumb, and I mean, I lost on it because I could have made something big out of it. But live and learn, man.
It was an experience, though, and you cannot qualify, if I'm using the right word, experience and dollar values, because you learn so much from that, and you learn from the mistakes.
Yeah,
you learn from the mistakes. I think, and I'm sure someone smarter than me has said this before, but you learn from the mistakes more than you learn from everything going right.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because
builds character too.
As bad as some of the mistakes I fell into on this first issue, I've learned from them. And it's better to learn on that first issue when you have this amount of dollars put into it than in the 5th issue when, oh my God, I made a few sales, so let's put this much money into it. And then you make all those little mistakes and you find out about shipping cost and
taxes and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah. And I made the decision to do my first convention with the magazine as a vendor in February at AuthorCon in Virginia. Oh. And I made that decision, and it's going to cost me more than if I had did a local con an hour away from now. It's going to cost me more, but I've already invested. I've already got people there. Hey, we're coming. And oh my God.
There you go. Hello.
Well,
how are you?
Anyway, it's been a great show. It's been a great show.
Thank you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll go ahead and bring. No, we're kidding.
Good to see you again, Heather.
Huh? Oh, good to see me. I thought you said let me see you again. I'm like, I'm right here.
No.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up. We're just saying goodbye.
Oh, okay. Well, then I got here just in time.
I know, just to wave at everybody. No, but thank you. I know you had gotten off work, correct?
Yeah. I work at a salon in Virginia Beach. There's a lot going on in there, so I was trying to scoot I left my coworker to the vacuuming. I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, here you go.
There's hair everywhere in a hair salon.
Nice.
Always.
I will let her do my hair sometime.
You know what? I'll bring my stuff with me when we do the photo shoot. I'll give you a blowout.
There you go. That's it.
Blowout, she said.
Maybe he'll make the next cover. We'll see. We'll put him on there.
I was just telling him about your wiener.
Oh, yeah? I got the best one.
He was telling me, and I said, man, that's like a show within itself. But yeah, I said.
Because I have a pussy.
Mine's a miniature. I have a miniature wiener.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm stopping the jokes there because I was about to go too far with my cat.
I know. I came in. So my dog's outside right now. I was like, come on, Quinn. Mommy has somewhere to be. So I got her out of her crate because I was gone for most of the day. I got her out of the crate and put her outside so she's getting some fresh air. She's fine. Otherwise, I'd be like, here she is, and hold her up to everybody.
We've been talking about the magazine, and this is our October model. Although we were talking about if everything goes well, we may move it up. I don't know, but I mean, she fits so well with Halloween. So I'm still saying this is our Halloween model. And as I also said, she is way more than just a cover model. I don't know if I would still be sane if it wasn't for her right now. And I told her, and it sounds like a fake compliment maybe, but there were days, and I was telling you about the whole like buying the house thing, getting the issue out, the increase in prices, and I would be just so fucking depressed and sitting around, and she would reply to me, and she will reply with like an emoji or a smiley face or something, and I'm like, okay, that does make me feel a little bit better.
I try to remain positive.
No, I mean, I can imagine. I mean, like I was telling him also, I mean, it's stressful, I mean,
it is.
People think, oh, he's running a magazine, he's got it made. And it's like, I mean, you got to work, you got bills, you got, you know what I mean? Like everything on top of that. So it's like, now it's a little bit, it can get overwhelming.
It's definitely a passion project. For sure.
It is. And
at least in the beginning, not for long. It's going to be generating some stuff.
It's fixing to be a steamroller, either up or downhill to success, whichever way it goes. I'm not sure if you like, we're going uphill or downhill. I don't know, but we're going to be extremely successful. But one of my close friends who's like, he's kind of my advisor, and he's like, once you get big, I want to part, but right now I'm just going to be on the side and you don't owe me anything. But he gave me some of the best advice because I do use my Facebook as my journal. And if I get depressed, if you look at my Facebook, you can usually tell. And he said, if you're doing this, you can never get depressed on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you get depressed off Facebook, you yell at me, you know, but don't get depressed. And I mostly follow that. And it really does help, because when you have new people coming in and you're like, hey, I want you to be in our magazine, man. We really, really love to have you. I love your work. And if you say that in a normal voice, you get a good response. If you say that while you're crying, and while you're posting, God damn it, I hate work, you don't get as good of a response.
No, not at all. And also too, I mean, because I tell people, I mean, when it comes to Facebook, I post everything I do when it comes to networking, jumping on films, doing moderating, all that good stuff that I do. I put it on there. But I mean, those that truly know me, I've got I would say 3 close friends, and those are the people that know, like, if I'm having a bad day, if I'm going through something, I mean, vice versa, we kind of talk about stuff, and it's great to talk about it, because it's like depression sucks, man.
You have to have a sounding board, or you do go insane. And a lot of times, like I said, I know I annoy the piss out of Heather sometimes, but she's nice enough to tell me that I don't.
No.
But no.
It's because you're so sweet and kind-hearted and thoughtful.
Oh my God.
That makes up for, all of your mess. No, I meant the first half though.
I like that she's honest enough to say I'm a mess. I love that.
You know what? I gotta say, messy people are my people. I'm a mess.
Hey.
Yeah, it's got to be that control chaos, because I can't. If everything was perfect and everything was aligned, I'd go crazy, But
well, and I've told her, honestly, if you weren't a very attractive young lady, I probably would not have asked you to be on the cover. Just honestly, but she is so much more than that. She is funny. She's funny as hell, and she's smart. And the very fact that she's like, I want to be involved with this. I don't want to just be the girl on the front page. I want to be involved in this. And she loves horror movies. And like I said, she's in a horror movie this weekend.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Filming
doing my third 48-hour film project. So I don't know. Let's see, around 7:30, I should hear from the director of him letting me know what the genre is and like what all the parameters and criteria are for making it tonight. And then tomorrow we'll be shooting all day, and then hopefully not into the last one we didn't start shooting on Saturday until 8:30 at night, and we didn't finish until 5:30 in the morning. So most of my scenes, I don't look my age, I'll just say that, but most of my scenes were filmed at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, this is not going to be my best work. I'm fucking tired. So hopefully this time, because it's the same. I mean, and I love the people. This is the same production company I've worked with all 3 times for each 48-hour film project. And so I'm excited to see what the genre is going to be this time and what kind of script they come up with and like that.
Nice. You were probably on film 90% of the time in the last one. And you were nominated for a festival award, which is not a small thing, because
we won one. I can't remember what it was, but we won one of the awards.
Best director, one of those. I remember it
wasn't Best Picture. One of my greatest friends won Best Picture and he basically cleaned up that night. I was so proud of him.
That's awesome. I remember seeing your post about the film festival. And there was someone else was posting about it on Facebook, because we have so many friends that kind of run and crisscross and zigzag. And I remember hearing about it, and I was like, "Oh fuck, Heather was in a part of my." I hope I'm allowed to curse here because they slip out sometimes. But I remember hearing about it, and I'm like, "Oh heck, Heather was in a movie," and I'm like, "Well, shit, I'll never see it probably, but I did. Thank you." So I did get to see it.
Yeah, the second one was super. So the first time around, we had to make some changes, but originally, like, I was supposed to get bloody. It was going to be a whole thing. Well, I ended up getting strangled and then drug into an outdoor cellar. And then finally, in the last one that we did, I was the murderer. So I got to have the knife, and I was covered in blood and dirt, and it was so much fun.
Was that a drama, or what kind of genre was that?
It was horror.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
the one they do in October is always horror themed.
Nice.
So I always keep my eyes open for that.
Yeah, no, and I was gonna say I haven't been a part of anything like that, but I keep hearing about those, especially here, like in San Antonio and Austin, and I'm like, man, I love it for a lot of reasons, and it's because it's like no pressure because you don't know. So the day of, it's like, hey, you're gonna do this. This is what you're doing, and you're like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
you just
And
get on. And,
yeah, there's also the comfort of knowing that like every other team that's there has had the same parameters set for them, right? So it's like it's not like I only had
think I lost
2 days. But it's like everybody had 2 days. Be perfect because you can't and do all the and make it like really amazing in that amount of time. So you kind of see where like when you go to the festival, like where they have all the teams and you're watching all the short films and they do all of the awards. It's funny because you'll see it. I'm such a critic though, and I'll be like, that backpack was there and now it's not, and then it was again. Like a continuity, I am like a continuity queen.
Yeah,
but it's a critic in a good way. Like I'm not just tearing things apart, but they're observations, really. Yeah,
I think I get into that because I don't see stuff unless it's like later. But like when I'm watching a film, I'm like in sync and I'm just like, okay, I'm watching. But like I'll have people like, oh man, he had a long sleeve just a few seconds ago. Why is he wearing a short sleeve? And I'm like, man, just watch the film, bro. I'm watching this, let me watch it. But
us theater kids call that like it for us. It breaks the illusion, right? Because you're supposed to be immersed in this thing.
Yeah.
And following the story, and then something happens, and you're like, that broke the illusion for me. So, because I have a theater background, so that's kind of the term that always comes up in my head when I see things like that.
I'm that person. I go to a movie and I watch the movie and I pay attention to the story. I pay attention to the visuals. And I was like, oh, did you notice that aspect change? I'm like, what? And it's like, oh, did you see like that the guy left his soda bottle? I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I saw the guy who did this and he killed someone, and then there was a topless girl, and then everybody was happy. And it's like, were you in the movie at all? And I'm like, yes, and I was paying attention.
Yeah, you see, but that's funny. I mean, like for me, like I do photography, like I cover combat sports. I've been doing that for years, since like 2004, 2005. But it's like I'm that guy. Like I'm shooting photos, I'm doing the fights, and at the end of the round, like I just saw the fight because I'm taking photos, right? But I mean, people are like, "Man, who won?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!" Like I got to look at the pictures, and I'm like, "Oh shit, that guy won." But it's just because I'm so in sync, and I'm not even thinking about like everything else, and it's just like, man, but I'm that guy. So, and at the end of the movie, I don't even know where I park. So yeah, I forget pretty quick.
A lot of it is where you put your concentration, and you have to put your concentration somewhere. And if you are doing photography, you have to concentrate on the photographic side of it. And that's why I have a problem doing any photography outside. And I know I talked to, oh my God, I keep wanting to call you Quinn because I see Quinn on Instagram.
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is my dog's name.
Yeah, and I keep wanting to call her dog for some reason.
Do you know how many people have only ever seen my Instagram and then I met them in person and they're like, oh my God, Quinn, hi. And I'm
it's
like,
Quinn.
Not my name. Yeah.
Because I mean, I know your name. I swear to God, I know your name. But I just want to like, oh, Quinn's going to be logging in soon.
Hey, you. I'll answer to whatever.
I hear you. And
when I was a kid, it was you little shit.
I talked to Heather about shooting her outside, but I wanted to shoot her in a studio, even though that adds an extra cost to it. But I wanted to shoot her in a studio so we have good pictures for the magazine.
Yeah, you get
a really good studio too, though. This place is awesome.
I'm glad that I picked a good studio for you. I'm glad I didn't get a shitty studio. So you're on here is like, well, he's going to be shooting me in like Bob's studio and aluminum can recycling facility.
We're gonna go out back of Bob's Gun and Ammo. So we're just gonna be out back. It's fine.
We're gonna be shooting in the back lot of the Waffle House down on 3rd Street.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it at shift change.
Or Aisle 5 at Walmart. How about that one then? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we're gonna do the Bigfoot shoot. We just gotta get details set. And by details I mean I have to talk her into it.
He wants to put me in a Bigfoot suit.
Oh, nice.
I think that was your idea to be in the Bigfoot suit at first. But
it might have been. Because I'm totally down.
Well,
you don't have to. You're not going to ask me twice.
I
Well,
have not talked to you
what's the
about
hype?
it, but I was talking to a friend, and especially if we can make this issue come out around April Fools, of doing the hottest, sexiest photo shoot ever, and having you, it will be like Heather
Was in a
in the
Bigfoot suit on
hottest,
all fours eating a lollipop or
sexiest
something.
photo shoot of her career. I'm talking about having you in the Bigfoot suit with a bikini and then taking the bikini off and like.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I think that would be killer.
I'm open to the creativity. Let's
That
brainstorm.
would be killer. That would be killer. And the guy was like, well, you'll have to polybag it or else everyone will open and see it's only a Bigfoot suit.
Yeah, they're
I'm
gonna be
like,
like, what the heck?
We're not going to polybag it. We will do some decent stuff for it as well. But I just thought that would be so fucking hilarious. And I reached out to Lyle Blackburn, who is to me the best, coolest Bigfoot expert out there. And we're friends on Facebook, but I reached out to his official email address first. But then I'm going to hit him up on Facebook and get him to write like a forward or something. And I do want to do a legitimate issue with Bigfoot horror and then our Bigfoot here, our sexy Bigfoot.
Let me ask you, Heather, what's your height?
I'm 5 feet even.
5. You see, so where would you get a Bigfoot costume that's 5 foot? I'm curious.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but
you're throwing me these problems.
I will have it altered.
There you go. There you go.
You're throwing these problems out.
I am committed. Okay, I'll have it altered.
Nice. No, I mean that works. I mean, especially
honestly,
if you're be doing a photo,
right? But I just thought of this. Honestly, if we're looking for like one that's my size, we may be able to order a children's.
True.
You know what?
If this will fit in there, then we can do children's.
If that doesn't fit in there, we will have some options.
I was gonna say that's where the bikini top will. I'm sure they'll be able to make it fit. But
excuse me, I got to run to my room real quick.
Oh my god. You dirty bird.
You know I'm a dirty bird, though.
And let me ask you, Heather, when it comes to acting, I mean, when did that start for you?
Ooh, when I was 13 years old, 8th grade.
Nice. Okay, so this is a theater, or what happened?
Yeah, I started in theater as a theater kid. I was Oliver in Oliver. So, yeah, I've been a male lead. With a really short, itchy wig. I had to cut my hair that year because I had so much hair. I mean, my hair is much longer than this, but it wouldn't even fit in the wig. And I remember my director saying, I would hate for you. You don't have to cut all that hair out. And I was like, it's for the show. It's hair. It's going to grow back. Like the show must go on. Yeah. So, that was like my first big show. And then, I was Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. I was cast as Sandy in Grease, but I did have to drop out of that show for stuff going on at home. And I was Amber in Hairspray. I've stage managed many shows, including Little Shop of Horrors, The Wiz, all kinds of stuff. Nice, but I'm always trying to get my fingers into something because I also I'm kind of on a hiatus right now. I haven't been in a really long time, but I do improv, and I take improv classes at a theater in downtown Norfolk called Push Comedy Theater. Nice, so I like to spend time in there and just go in for shows and see friendly faces. And that's always fun because that was a skill that I didn't get to touch on much when I was younger. Yeah. And I didn't want to commit to like auditioning for a show and having all the rehearsals, weeks of show nights and things like that. So after going and doing improv, that was a way for me to sharpen a skill that I didn't really get to pay much attention to when I was younger, and also is far less of a commitment. So,
but I was going to say too, like a few movies I've jumped in. Like, I mean, there's been a few times where they're like, okay, well, it's going to be an improv. Like, all you're going to do is this is what you're doing. This is here's the other actors, right? And I'm not surprised how easily I can do it because I BS a lot. Like I always, I make up something. So it's like I've always got something to come back with, but I've enjoyed it. But I would love to be able to jump on an improv class just to be able to keep doing that, because I think especially in the indie world, a lot of times it's like they'll give me a script and I'm like, hey man, I can't say it. It doesn't sound right to say it like this. Can I say it the way I would say it? Or directors are okay with it. I'll change it. But it's just but But man, I got to look into that though. I haven't
You
done it.
should. It's a blast. No one takes anybody too seriously. It's all and it's everyone kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't. And there are a lot of improv games that you learn that are just, will sharpen you mentally. Yeah, as I struggle to get the words out. The irony. So, but it's awesome. I recommend it to so many people. They have kids classes too. So like people can bring their kids in to do the classes. It's a great theater. But I'm very much a community vibe type of person. Like if I could be on a commune with my friends and we just all had houses on this huge property, like I would do that. So it's nice to have, because like the number one thing in improv is to always make your partner look good. Yeah. Because if you're making them look good and they're making you look good.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Her then things will flow better that way. Time. That's what sucks. Her partners have such an easy time. I mean, I'm like, okay, you have to make Heather look good, and just like,
yeah, until I put them in a pinch and have to make them act out something is embarrassing to act out.
You see that happened the other day in a short, and the director's like, "Hey, can you jump in with that group? This is what they're gonna do." And I was just like, it wasn't my scene, but they were short one, and I said, "Yeah, I'll jump in there." But it was out of the box, and I don't want to say I wouldn't have done it, but it was just because it was thrown at me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm already here. Like, let's go," And
yeah, you're like,
I surprised myself jumping on. I can't wait to see that footage though, because he was like telling me about it, and he was laughing his ass off. So I was like, I know it looked funny, but I'm ready. I'm like, you know what? Let me see what they can, especially with the editing. I know they'll make it look great. So
yeah,
when that comes, I'll definitely be posting that. But yeah, it's just cool. I mean, there's when it comes to films, I mean, you say you're jumping on the third 48-hour.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, have you been on other?
The first one that I did basically was improv. It was the director's first one he had ever done too. And he reached out to me because I know him through the improv theater. He DM'd me and said, "Hey, I'm looking for actors. I've seen you at the theater. I think you're really funny and I think you're a great actress. Would you be interested in joining my team? Blah, 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 blah." And I hadn't heard. I was like, 48 Hour. I was like, I've heard of that, but I was like, I don't really know what it's about. Right. So I asked him all the questions and I was like, yeah, sure. But like I said, you get the information Friday night, like 7, and then you're writing a script. Well, we had to rework the script so many times for the first one that it ended up being that he would just give us an idea of what he wanted, and then we would just make it happen. So the first one was mostly all improv.
Nice.
And I was like, well, thank God I just joined the theater.
Now, was this the parcel? Was that the first one?
Yes. Yeah, the parcel.
Okay, so I thought that was the second one when I watched it, but like, you're on screen 90% of the time. And yeah, I watched it having no idea it was improv.
It's not necessarily supposed to be. There's typically some kind of script written, but it just depends on how your team is working. And you start to run out of time for filming because you're like, okay, well, this has to happen. I have to edit. It's like, remember that one, the one this past October, we were filming until 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, well, it was brutal.
I remember talking to someone because we talked over the last couple of weeks about movies and doing more movies. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to and he's an indie director. And I'm like, she's done a couple of movies and she's good. I'm like, she's not like Oscar winning, but she's good. And I'm like, holy shit, it's all improv. And I'm like, okay, maybe she does deserve an Oscar if it's improv. Because I just assumed you were reading a script. I'm like, okay, that's good. But I mean, just off the top of your head.
So the scene in the parcel where I'm in the garage with like my uncle and we're going back and forth and I'm like asking him what happened to my Aunt Trisha. All of that was improv. Everything I said to him was off the cuff.
Oh, wow.
Everything in that one. I'm trying to think of like some of the other ones, but yeah.
I would not have guessed. And I try not to blow smoke up your ass, for want of a better word.
Yeah, please.
And the hair thing, what I told you this morning, the hair thing fits. I did not know about you cutting your hair, but that fits right in with what I told you this morning. Heather is dedicated.
Yeah.
She's trustworthy.
Especially at that age.
And that means so much when you're working with someone because, and even when you like, when you were like, I've got to work late. I don't know if I can get off. And I'm like, I trust her.
I was really disappointed too. I was like, I don't want to let him down. Like I have this, like, it started in childhood, of course, but I have this deep-seated fear of disappointing people. I really hate it. It feels so bad. So I was like, no. Like I knew about this before today. I have zero excuses, but there's so much going on. I was like, I can't walk away. There's people sitting here waiting for services.
And I fully understand because I've got a job too. And it is entirely possible for my job to be, you can't go home because we just had an 18-car pileup on the interstate, so you can't go home. Yeah. I've been there before. I used to get off at like 10 o'clock at night, and you have a little baby come in at 10 o'clock at night, and the surgeon's
like a 104 fever and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going home. One person was coming in, and they're like, call the radiologist in. We've got to do this test, and we've got to get this baby probably prepped for surgery. Oh. And it's like, I can't go home because then there's one person here working with the baby. There's no one to cover the ER. So I stayed over, and it was like, do you want to work the ER? Do you want to work the baby? And I'm like, I've never done it with the baby before, but let me work the baby. Because even though I'm sleepy, I'll have a doctor standing right there beside me to like kick me in the ass and say, hey.
And watching every little.
Oh, I hate, that is the absolute worst thing. And probably one reason why I still work night shift. I hate working with a doctor standing next to me. Ever since I was in school, when I have to have the doctor standing next to me, I don't work as well. And if you have a patient that's also.
Sorry, it's 90 degrees here.
We lost her.
Oh my God, we lost her. But we do know it's 90 degrees there.
Yeah. At least we know she wasn't comfortable, so that's good.
She will be back if she can. I said,
no problem, man. But yeah, bro. I mean, and then I was gonna ask you also because we've already gone over an hour, but I will definitely talk more on the magazine before we wrap it up. But yeah, this publication. I mean, of course, the next issue, like you say, you are shooting to drop this next one on what month?
It's going to be July is our target month, nice. And I had a lot of people inside my staff writers are like, oh, maybe you should push back the first issue. And I'm like, no, I'm not pushing back the first issue. We're going out. This one should go out July. The original date, we're going to try to put it on July 4th. But since that is another holiday, I'm not even aiming for July 4th. We're aiming for July. And I am leaving open the option that if there's an issue, we may have to push that back. And to sometime later, but July is when we're aiming for. It's going to be our summer issue. I tried to talk about it early, and I'm so scatterbrained when I try to actually think. But we're looking at having 4 original horror fiction stories. One of them is by Johnny Necro, who I don't know if you know him because I didn't know him when he first started talking to me, but he's involved with Trauma and a lot of independent films.
Oh yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah, he sent me in a short story. We have a 17-year-old autistic girl who has written a short story, and I was talking. One of my friends who's an artist hit me up, and oh my God, you've got your wiener out.
Yeah, I didn't mean to exit. I keep forgetting that my screen is a touch screen. So I was like, oh, I'll just pick my laptop up and I'll walk to the back door. But it's like 90 degrees here and she'd been outside. I was like, I have to bring her in.
Bring your baby in.
So I accidentally touched and just exited out of my entire internet browser, which means I lost the tabs that I had open already that I needed. But that's okay.
But hey, we persevere.
It's not the first time it's happened, and if I'm honest, it's probably gonna happen again.
Oh yeah. That's what we do it live, so everybody can capture all these moments,
Those are the best moments. As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the pretty girl's reappearance.
Sorry.
We have a 17-year-old autistic girl who has contributed a short story, and I had someone read it as a test read because I've got so much stuff I still got to read. And he was like, Well, the idea behind the story was great, but like there's these grammar errors and the person acts like they've never been to a writer's class. They don't know the first. I'm like, this is a 17-year-old girl who is autistic, and this is the first thing she's ever written. And she was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I do not want to edit it too much because this is her story.
You don't want to lose her heart that's in it. And
I don't want to lose her heart.
Yeah.
And she sent me a short first. And I read the short. I'm like, this is really good.
Sorry.
This is really good. Maybe it's not One Piece, but this is the joys of pets.
Oh yeah.
That's why I lock my cat out of the room.
No.
She knows some of the problems I have with my cat because we were talking 2 weeks ago when the cat jumped up between my legs and like stuck a claw right into my scrotum because I was wearing my scrubs, and that was like I probably screamed in text.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh my god, that sucks."
Like I just had my scrotum pierced.
Her little claws.
Oh, she's so cute.
That's great. I mean, all these people that are contributing. I mean, we had talked about that earlier, and it's good that they're getting published because I mean that's what's happening. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I used to write a lot. I can't write for a story or for a magazine, but I mean, my thing was always writing. I get a notebook, get a pen, and just go ham on it. But
I've got stories now where I'm having the inevitable task of telling people we can't use your story.
Oh,
or we can't use your story right now. And it's one of my staff writers. I'm like, hey, I just got a story in from someone I've been waiting for a long time. I promised him a spot, so I'm not going to use your story, but your story's good. It's not quality. It's simply I made commitments when he started writing. And then I read his story and I'm like, this is a winter story. So I then went to go back to him. I'm like, is it okay if we hold your story until Christmas? Because this is a winner, and then go back and like, hey, we are going to use your story. Please don't get mad at me. This is not. And we've got
you want
more
it to be curated. You don't want it to feel super chaotic. It's
exactly.
Curated,
and
so it makes sense.
The entire thing with the autistic young lady, and a lot of people might say, and I did talk to people about it, there is some risk in putting this in because people are going to say, oh, you're doing this just so you can be, topical, or you're doing this because you don't have enough good stories or enough published authors.
That's what I have to say to that.
I'm doing this in a lot of ways because right now, especially and I don't want to get political, but in the political climate right now, and I work with 2 autistic people, and there are other autistic people who I care very deeply about, that I want to say, being an autistic person does not mean you'll never earn money. It does not mean you'll never hold a job. It does not mean you can do anything you want to, depending on your level,
right,
and your, I guess, personal ability or personal desire to do it. And this girl put out a good story. Is it a perfect story? No, but read one of my stories and talk about perfection. It's a good story. It's topical, and I want to support her. And a part of it, and the friend who sent it to me, this was I want to support her. I mean, this is a great story. I want to support her. And
it's a good feeling too to provide a platform for people to be heard. To share their voices too and their own perspectives. So I love that about it.
There are so many people who right now will believe that an autistic person cannot do anything other than menial task.
Things are okay.
And if they read this story and say, oh my God, this person did this, then maybe some of the stories I'm hearing about autistic people aren't true. Maybe they.
Oh yeah, and there's different levels. There's different types. I know a few friends, and some it's not like they're autistic and then they're all the same. I mean, no. I mean, some people can't even speak verbally or can't do sentences or can't write. You know what I mean? So it's just everybody's different. So the abilities, of course, change, but the fact that they're out there and they're doing, man, it's a great thing.
It's like all of us. We all have our different levels. I'm not good at speaking in groups like this. And again, I told Heather, you are wonderful at this. And she is.
Oh.
I'm not. There are people who could not walk on here and have the camera in their face. And I know people like that. You turn a camera on them, they run away.
Oh, yeah.
We all have our levels of comfort and ability.
Mm-hmm.
I could never do what you do acting. I don't think. I could run across the screen and fall down and people laugh. What?
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever tried?
Really, no. I've always kind of wanted to.
No.
You get me a movie part and we'll do that. And I've got some stories, some news for you about the little movie thing we were talking about.
Okay.
We're going to shoot a movie. Me and her and at least one other person.
Yeah.
2, if I'm lucky, are going to shoot a movie later this year.
Nice.
The movie is called the movie is called Fingernails, which I'm like, and I already thought you're going to be the lead in it, but I'm like, fingernails. She works at a salon.
Yeah.
She has great fingernails.
I tried.
So I
sponsor.
oh, look at those pretty little nails. I'm pretty little nails.
These are my natural nails too.
Oh, nice.
I noticed they weren't like clawed, and I'm like,
usually I've got like my home nails.
She could slap you, and it would be like Freddy Krueger. You know, it's like bringing blood. But I think me and you talked about shooting at Killer Pride.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to someone else. I'm like, I got to find a filmmaker. Like, dude, you can do it on an iPhone if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So if we can't find a good filmmaker, we'll do it on an iPhone. And it's a 2-person.
Remember the commercials that they had, like that Apple put out, and it was like this little short thing, and they were like, at the end, they're like, all of this was made on an iPhone. No way.
And if you see the movie, I believe it's called Unsane.
I love that movie.
Yes, that was shot on an iPhone.
Funny thing about that movie.
Yes.
So there's a guy in that movie, the actor, his name's Jay Farrow. Okay. Yeah. I don't know him by Jay Farrow. I know him as Jared Farrow because we went to high school together.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. And we were in Oliver together. So I was Oliver and he played Bill Sykes.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So when he went on to, because I remember after he graduated, he was touring comedy clubs and stuff like that. And then it got bigger. It was kind of like tri-state stuff. And then it got bigger and bigger. And then he auditioned for Saturday Night Live. And I remember when he got that and got on, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I hadn't talked to him in years, but you still feel so proud of the people that you came up with at the same time, you know, and you're like, oh, they're doing it. They're actually doing it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's funny that you brought up that movie because I'm like, yes.
And that movie was shot on an iPhone. It was all shot on an iPhone, and it's such an impressive movie.
I didn't know that.
So if I can find someone to at least handle the phone, and I mean, the setting is basically an abandoned parking lot, and I thought if I could talk Heather into possibly getting some video of her getting her nails done in her salon, then we could like throw them a shout out on the video and
absolutely.
And put this together and win us a little Oscar. Well, I mean, I would win an Oscar for coming up with the idea. I might let Heather hold it if she's nice to me.
I'll get to sniff it every once in a while.
You can sniff my Oscar.
This is what success smells like, Heather.
And this is gonna be. I mean, you guys are gonna be filming that this year.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Well, definitely.
Lord willing, the creek don't rise.
Unless she hates me by September, we will be filming.
Yeah. She'll be filming somewhere else, man. But
I keep throwing that out there because I have such a sparkling personality that my hatred and friends list kind of like, So like, yeah, you'll probably hate me by then.
I think you're a sweetheart. Don't sweat it.
Oh man. And let me ask you, not to change the subject because I did want to wrap it up like in 10 minutes or so, guys. But when it comes to Heather, I mean, of course, this right here, where is it at? Here we go. I mean, of course, this is the magazine that we've been speaking about, and your involvement. I mean, you said you wanted to do more than just be a cover girl. So, of course, why is that? I mean, is it because of the acting? Is it because, I mean, do you write yourself?
That is a loaded question. The last few years of my life have quite literally been like 2 or 3 different Lifetime movies. So I've really been looking for something to kind of throw myself into that isn't something that feels like a chore or like work.
Right.
And when it started because he asked me to shoot and to do the magazine for the 3rd issue, and I was like, yeah, of course. And we just started chatting more about it. And then I said, he said he needed some writers, and I said, I have friends that I know through the theater, through improv. And I was like, they're also, because they're very creative people. Typically, you meet someone in theater or in that kind of environment, they're not only into one thing,
Right.
So I reached out to a couple of my friends through the theater, and my friend Matt is going to be published in.
He's going to be in the next issue.
So it was kind of like, that's kind of how it started. I was trying to help just whatever he needed to see like how I could help or facilitate something for him.
Right.
And then we started talking about going in and editing, maybe writing a piece every once in a while, something short from my perspective. And then what was the last thing? It left me.
I keep thinking about that because we kind of dropped it at the time, and I'm like, I don't want to. And this is the horrible thing about text messaging, though, because it's so. If you text me, I can kind of get a general idea of where you're at. And if I text you, you probably get a general idea of where I'm at. But it's so hard to fully convey emotional response and everything through text message. And I'm like, I don't want to push you on this right now because I don't know what your desire is. And I want to, when we're together next 2 weeks, 2 weeks from now, I want to sit down with you and just like, okay, we brought this up, we talked about it, and then we kind of dropped it. Are you still interested in this? And I don't want to be like, well, I want you to write this article and then I'll rewrite it so it looks good. But if you need any help though in direction and anything like that, because as I've said before, I'm not necessarily the best writer or creative person, but I'm good at bullshit. I can usually I can wrap a turd in Christmas paper and usually sell it to 3 or 4 people before they figure out it's actually this Christmas present smells funny. But yeah, so I'm gonna have her do more. And I think I told you, just call yourself the co-editor in chief. Because I don't know exactly what I'm going to ask you to do. It's probably going to be something dirty, nasty, and you're going to hate me for it. But if there's shit that we can do that you feel comfortable in doing, run with it. And there was even a convention in Virginia. And I've never even talked to you about this, but one of the promoters was like, hey, if you come to this show, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get there because I'm doing Killer Pride, and then in February I've got to come back, so I don't know if I can get back to Virginia. And he's like, well, if you can get back. And I'm like, well, you know what, my friend Heather, and he said he knew who you were, and it's probably because he's in Virginia Beach. Matt Burns.
Oh, Matt Burns.
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with him. Yes.
Yeah, but
I know we're friends on socials and stuff for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like me, I've been to so many conventions. There's still people who know me who I have no idea who they are. But
right. Or you're like, where did I meet them at? And I know that name, and I know I can even see his face, but I'm like, is it through? I think I met him through Scares.
Probably because he's usually there.
It's the whole social media thing, like how people think, you're using your dog's name. People go up to you and they're like, hey, but
Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that come up to me and I'm like, okay, I have no idea who this is. And then later on, it turns out because they're in cosplay and I'm like, dude, I don't know who's dressed up,
But I told him, I said, I probably can't be at the show. If Heather's there though, talk to her. I said, she speaks for me. If you tell her something and she says, okay, that's cool with me. And it was something about either a writer or a model or something. I'm like, well, if Heather's there, talk to Heather. I'm like,
just tell him to reach out to me.
It's like I trust you, even though to me it's like if I text you every day and say, oh, good morning, beautiful, your starry eyes brighten my day, and you're exactly. And the same thing if I text you every day and say, I trust you, I trust you, at some point you're like, okay, there's some shit going on here. But yeah, I trust you though. And like I said, the thing I said today, and I'm like, well, she may think I'm just saying that, but I'm like, no, it's like, I trust you. And the hair thing, I'm like, see, that's exactly it. The girl's committed. The young lady is committed
Love
to
that.
her craft.
Love that.
And
one thing I'll never do is say my age on camera because I look so much younger than I am. So I'm just gonna.
And also, the FBI would be calling me, wondering why I was photographing another underage girl, and I would have to answer that.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
So this girl, this Quinn Devereaux, she's about 14, right? And I'm kissing your ass now, for real. I'm just
no. I still get carded all the time, and it doesn't get. I'm like, thing. Yes. I get upset when I don't get carded.
I'm pretty sure that's a compliment, but after a few times, you're like, man, come on.
I will be carding you before we take pictures.
When you just really want a margarita, but for some reason you don't have your ID because you changed purses, and then you were in the car, and then this happens. So you're like, I just want a drink. I just want one margarita. I'm not even a drinker, right? So then when I decide, typically it's like I'll decide that I want one, and it's always okay. Where is this at? Where's my ID?
Yeah, it's
the worst.
I use my phone to pay for so much stuff now, and I went into Walmart yesterday, and I had a cart full of food, and I get to the counter and realize I don't have my wallet. And
no, that's happened
like,
to a lady at the grocery store before, and she didn't have much. She was like, "Oh my god!" And she's like, "I'll just." She was like, "Can I just leave it up here? There's nothing refrigerated." She was like, "Can I just leave this stuff up here?" She's like, "I'm gonna go home and get my wallet and come back." And I was like, "Girl,
man."
That's $20. That's $20 right there. Please, I said, add it to mine. Like she's gonna go home and come back. Like it was embarrassing enough that she had to deal with it. But honestly, it happens. It happens to everybody. It's just forgetful. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. So I'm like,
I had mostly fruit stuff because I was looking at making some smoothies, so like for meal replacements. And I said, hey, can I leave this here and just run to my car? And yeah, sure. And I ran to my car, and my wallet wasn't in my glove compartment.
Damn.
So I then went back in. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. And she was like, oh, thank God you're back. And I'm like, I'm sorry. My wallet's not in my car. And I know this is like fruit and stuff. So I didn't want to like just have it set up here all day. And I go home, and it's like, where is my wallet? And I look at my gym shorts, and it's not there. And I looked in the jeans I wore the day before. It's not there. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm flying in 2 weeks. I've lost my wallet.
Damn.
So I've got my passport, and I look at my book bag. My passport's not there, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" And I'm going into panic attack, and I've had a few panic attacks, and I'm like, I'm going into panic attack, and I'm like, where do I put my wallet? I always put my wallet here on the bookcase. It's not there, and for some reason, I leaned in. I'm like, there it is. And I leaned in, and I knocked it off. So I pulled the books out, and there's my wallet, and there's my passport, and I'm like.
Damn.
Thank God. That's a bad feeling.
How much Heather would hate me if I call up like 2 weeks before the shoot? I can't go because I lost my wallet.
I'll be like, I'm doing it without you.
Right.
We can do it virtual, like remote. Like you just turn the camera on, and I'll sit back and I'm like, okay, now turn to your left.
Actually,
turn to your left. All right. And then we have to go into a deliverance. I'm like, drop them panties, white girl. Drop them.
Ew.
Drop them. If you've ever seen Deliverance, have you ever seen Deliverance?
You only need to see it once.
That is disturbing, but there are two things that I always remember are you got a pretty mouth and drop them panties.
Yeah. So there's a quote from a movie that's a reference to Deliverance. You know, the movie Without a Paddle with Seth Green and Matthew.
Yes.
Okay. You know, when he's like, oh, we're at the corner of bumfuck and you got a pretty mouth when they are in this town. I quote that all the time.
I thought that when I was watching that, and I was like, wait a minute. But
I love that movie.
I don't remember. I used to tell people a joke about Burt Reynolds sitting by a river waiting for rafters to go by. Of course, then Burt was the good guy in the movie, sort of, you know, but... I don't know.
It will forever be just beyond my comprehension why his wardrobe for that movie was a leather vest. Nothing underneath. You know, that was sweaty as hell.
I know.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable just watching him wear it. I was like, man.
Yeah.
I think that's what the hillbillies were really trying to do, just trying to get them into a more comfortable wardrobe.
Probably.
panties are too thick. You gonna take them off, or you gonna get all moldy.
I'm cutting you off. Enough of that.
Ironically, we are going to be wrapping it up, guys. Man, you know what? We need to do this again. I mean, I know as far as the timing, because we kind of did. We missed out on Heather, of course. I mean, we can definitely do this again sooner than later. But yeah, the magazine. I mean, of course, it's out there, and I think I had to ask you. I mean, when it comes to the page, you don't have a page for.
We actually do have a website. Right. My web guy is, I guess, taking a break from it, mostly because I don't pay him. So he works on it when he wants to.
It's volunteer based, so he's like, I'll get to it.
We are at CaptainCreepy.com. I know he was working on putting up model pictures and bios, which I didn't. I already kind of had the bio you gave me for the podcast. So I think we just used that, and he was working on that. But at CaptainCreepy.com, there should be a working link now to buy the magazine. It is for sale on MagCloud. I'm going to have personal copies for people who are watching this like, oh, my God, that's a weirdo who lives down the street. I will have personal copies. Talk about your friends, Heather. Your friends. No. But I will have personal copies. And when I have personal copies, Heather will have personal copies right after that.
Sweet.
When she becomes our supermodel of the fucking year, she will have copies that she can autograph and sell. And I've already got people asking for autographs copies.
Do you?
Cool. For real. And I have someone. I'm like, I don't know the girl we had on issue 1. I've talked to her. I don't know if she's going to be willing to sign any copies. Like, I want your autograph. And I'm like, well, that's really weird. And I'm like, I basically had almost zero input in the first issue. He's like, I want your autograph. I'm like, okay. I keep thinking next he's going to ask me to go rafting. Huh.
Uh-oh.
Better get your leather vest.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, mustache. You got that mustache going. But I'm going to drop this real quick, guys. My friend out there at the horror scene, I don't know if you guys follow them on Facebook, but definitely give them a spin. The guy's always doing great things, posting horror movies. I mean, when it comes to indie film, he's a big supporter of indie films.
That's awesome.
In general, so give him a follow. But guys,
we shall both look him up.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll send you guys the link. But yes, I mean, I definitely want to bring you guys back on here. Thank you for jumping on, doing that input. I mean, I always appreciate it. So don't hang up yet, guys. Everybody out there, of course, once again, this is Spider Coming Soon Podcast, San Antonio, Texas, as always. Till next time.